Alright everyone, so now it's time to reveal the number one fact that nobody on the internet, except for my close friends, know. That is that I Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Well, this one's going to be a little bit different. In fact, it's going to be pretty special because this isn't just any regular video. This is the 20,000 subscriber special video. Yeah, you heard that right. The channel hit 20k subs after almost 10 years on YouTube, which may seem like a long time, but hey, it's a milestone that I always looked up to ever since I started my channel. I always felt like, oh gosh, you know, the day that I hit 20k subs, I'm gonna be like a legit YouTuber. Here we are. We hit that number because, as corny as this may sound, the channel would not really be what it is without the subscribers, aka you. So I just wanted to take a minute and thank all of you for not only subscribing, but most of all watching my videos. Yeah, it means a lot to me that there are people in the world that enjoy my content and enjoy the things that come out of my head. It's pretty amazing. My little 10-year-old self, you know, recording videos and creating crazy things would have never imagined that other people in the world would have enjoyed those things a couple years later. So, in order to celebrate this huge milestone, I actually asked you guys on my YouTube community discussion thing. I ran a poll and I asked you guys, you know, what you wanted to do or what you wanted to see, you know, to celebrate the milestone. And of course, you guys voted on a 5 facts about me video, or more like a 5 things you don't know about me, because I've been on YouTube now for a long time and I've shared a lot of things in that process, but there's still things that I haven't obviously shared, you know, for different reasons. But why not share a little bit more? Why not open up a little bit more to you guys? Because I tend to be a pretty private person. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about 5 things that you don't know about me. I actually wrote a list here, so because I actually had to think about these things, you know, like I said, I've been on YouTube a long time and I've shared things, so I wasn't sure what I've shared and what I haven't shared. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? I am a little bit nervous. Some of these are actually kind of personal. They're things that I feel like I do want to share with the world. So let's go ahead and begin with number 5. I'm going to be going from 5 to 1 in order of importance, obviously starting by the less important things. But number 5, I am double jointed in both my arms and thumbs. I mean, I guess I should demonstrate what I mean, but I don't know how many people can do this with my thumbs, but see, can you do that? Comment below. I can actually do it in both hands, but this one hurts, which is not a good sign. So I tend to do it in this one, which doesn't hurt at all, as you can see. And this one, it hurts. I shouldn't do that. But then as for my arms, this is where it gets a little freaky. And fun fact, I didn't know that I was double jointed in my arms until a couple months ago when somebody pointed it out to me. But because I was like discussing something and I went like this, and somebody was like, oh my gosh, what the heck, your arm. Obviously I was very confused because I thought, hold on, isn't this normal? And you know, apparently it's not. I can also do it in my other arm, as you can see. Turns out I'm double jointed in my arms, and I just found out. So yeah, comment below if you have double jointed arms or legs, Everybody's different. Apparently, I also have webbed fingers, but I don't think that's the case. I don't know, comment below if you think I do, but I think my hands are pretty normal, minus the thumbs that can do gnarly things. So yeah, that was fact about me that you didn't know, number 5. Let's move on to number 4, and the closer we get to number 1, the more personal these get, so this is gonna be interesting. Number 4, I don't know how surprising this is going to be to people because I feel like some may know, but I don't feel like I've openly talked, like I haven't discussed this so much in my channel. And that is the fact that I have been on YouTube way before this channel. I think I was 8 years old when YouTube was founded, and I just always wanted a channel. But my parents they're not very technological. My family members were not very technological in terms of platforms and social media as it was beginning to erupt back in the early 2000s. So I never really got a chance to make a channel, but I did make a ton of videos for my future channel, which I still have a lot of those and will be sharing them soon. But eventually, when I was like 9 years old, I figured out how to make a channel, and I did. And I think by the time I was like 10 or 11, I would say 10, I figured out how to upload videos, and I had a couple of channels actually that no longer exist. Don't try and look for them because I deleted them the day that I made this channel in 2011. But yeah, I actually made a lot of videos for those channels, which I'm very glad are no longer around because they were very cringy. This channel, in a way, was like 3rd times the charm, because this was the 3rd channel that I ever made, and the channel that eventually became successful. All right, let's go ahead now and move on to what is fact number 3. And I'm a little bit nervous about this one because, well, it's not insanely personal, but it's kind of like admitting something. And that is the fact that I am not a good risk taker. And the reason why I included this in the 5 facts about me is because I feel as though people don't really talk about this very often. I've never heard a single person say, I'm not good at taking risks, you know? Or somebody saying, I'm pretty bad at taking risks. If anything, I feel like social media and YouTube and, you know, especially creators have a tendency to put taking risks on a pedestal or promote taking risks like it's something that is easily accessible for everybody and you just have to do it. But that's not the case for me. It's actually very difficult for me to take risks. I'm not sure why. It's always been a part of me since I was a kid. And it's kind of ironic because I'm really good at adapting to things like practical skills and abilities and talents. But when it comes to change and risky things and risky decisions, man, I either don't do it or it takes me a really long time to mentally prepare. I've had missed opportunities over it, like really big opportunities. And that's not to say that I've never taken a risk. Obviously I've had. Sometimes in life you're kind of literally pushed, but I've also had many instances in my life where I didn't take them because of many reasons. You know, for a long time in my life I felt like, damn, this is not a good thing. You know, because all I ever saw on social media was like, you have to take risks. You can't be afraid of risk. You have to do it even if you're afraid. You have to, because risk is the most important mainstream overstated topic on the internet, especially when it comes to chasing your dreams. And if I'm being completely honest, my channel did not grow because I took risks. If anything, it grew because I had a lot of fun and I stuck with it. I guess my message with this is not to say that risks are bad and this and that. It's more so to say that obviously I would love to take more risks, you know, chase more opportunities, but I'm also recognizing that it doesn't come as easily to me. And if there's somebody out there who identifies with this or feels, you know, like they're not alone, then that's plenty enough for me. So, with that said, let's move on to, what was it, the fourth one? No, oh gosh, the second one. We're already on number 2. That's crazy. The second one is actually a fun one, and I don't think I've ever talked about this side of myself with any of you, but basically, I'm a pretty athletic person. But as of late, I've been so into mountain biking.
No, I really can't complain. Everything is straight. I've been on a wave where everything I say turn into the real thing. I tell her run it up, cause you know it ain't a thing. I'm in it for keepsake, in the field with the cleat lace. Beat freak with the bare face and a slick tongue, that's what she say. She look good, she a big tease when she bite lip with the wink face. Hella bad when she throwing it back, she bring that my way for the team play.
I almost fell into a cactus.
For Pete's sake, I'm above average, I padded my stats. I gotta matter what he say. I'm the 2010 young LeBron James off the backboard, type of bad boy. Hold it down for the task force. If I run his fade, then you ask for it. Cross need to laugh more. I keep it 100 on dashboard. The live show needed passport, cause the beat bounced to the cap torn. Feel like I live it fast forward, but I asked for it. Misfit got a quick lit on a crash course from the tattered garment to the tabloid.
I never thought I had that kind of adrenaline in me, but apparently I do. It's so much fun. It's funny how I talk about this right after I talked about not being good at taking risks, yet I'm good at throwing myself down a freaking terrain that's 200 feet above ocean level. But it is what it is. I started mountain biking almost a year ago, actually, in August, and it's slowly become a passion for me. It's such a great way for me to not only exercise my body in ways that I never thought I could. I just never thought I had that kind of drive in me. But yeah, I've always been a pretty athletic person. It's funny because I was bullied a lot for being geeky and different and not very feminine either. But when it came to physical education and just sports, I was always the first one picked for the teams and whatnot. But exercise and athleticism has become more important for me now as I've gotten older, because I had never pushed myself that much physically my entire life. You know, I always just did things as good as I could do them naturally, but I never explored like how far I could take it until now. I'm not a huge fan of like home workouts, so that's been an interesting thing to explore in the pandemic, but gosh, do I love to freaking smash those mountains. It's amazing. I recommend it to anybody. It's truly a lot of fun, and it's definitely become one of the coolest things that I've discovered in the pandemic. Gosh, I really don't know why I choose to film this video in the afternoon, in the beginning of summer, in an enclosed environment, but I guess these are just the things that sometimes you gotta do to make a good video. Alright everyone, so now it's time to reveal the number one fact that I am 100% sure nobody on the internet, except for my close friends, know. Oh goodness. That is that I have OCD. Yep. Okay, let me explain a little bit. It's pretty much something I've had my whole life, but it was recently diagnosed for me. It was like recently as in the last couple of years. Where do I even start? I all of a sudden got very nervous. I don't know why, because I guess it's difficult to reveal things about mental health, because at least for me it's difficult because I don't think I've ever been candid in that sense in my channel. Like I've always talked about surface level things when it comes to like my private life and whatnot. I've never really delved deep into like, you know, more vulnerable parts of me. But yeah, I have OCD. which if you don't know what that is, even though it's a very popular term that I think people misuse a lot, it's a obsessive compulsive disorder. And I'm not gonna dive deep into like what my symptoms are, but what I will say is that it's been one of the worst things that's ever happened to me, but also one of the best things that's ever happened for me. Does that make sense? Worst because, you know, for anybody who has OCD out there, you would probably know that having OCD, especially as a child, and not really knowing it's OCD, not really knowing what's going on in your head, is very, very challenging. It's part of the reason why, like, I had a good childhood on the surface of things, but internally, I do not remember my childhood very fondly because it was just kind of like very overwhelming and very scary, even though on the outside, everything was fine. Having OCD as a child, not really knowing what's going on, is really, really challenging. And the fact that I wasn't really diagnosed until my young adulthood, you can imagine that going through it as a child, and then as a teenager, and then as a young adult, early 20s, it got worse by the age, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what was going on. So that's kind of, wait, there's a plane. So that was the reason as to why OCD is one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. I've been through things, man, but the OCD, it's up there. It's up there is perhaps one of, if not the worst things that I've ever been through. But at the same time, it's been a blessing in disguise, because when I finally got help after pretty much, 20 years of not knowing what was going on and not really doing anything about it, it's completely shifted my life. It's like I went through things for my entire life, and then it's a blessing in disguise, because not only did it give me mental freedom once I figured out how to deal with it and how to cope with it in ways that were healthy and actually worked, it also opened me up to a mental accountability partner. OCD can be horrible, but it can also be your friend. And that's been the case for me. For those of you who are not really that familiar with OCD, those of you who are will, my dog, those of you who are will kind of understand where I'm coming from, but OCD doesn't really have mercy on you, in the sense that if you don't get help or any kind of treatment, the OCD doesn't just go away. It stays there whether you like it or not. You can't just push it away. And so for me, that's kind of been a blessing, because it keeps me accountable of my self-care and my habits, lifestyles, decisions. Because if I stop doing my tools that I've gathered in therapy, or if I stop attending to my physical health with all the tools for that, the OCD just comes back. Relapse is real. And so because of that OCD, I'm able to stay healthy, because I know if I don't take care of myself, there are consequences that perhaps people who don't have mental health issues or don't have physical health issues, they don't have that. They don't have that motive, that is far beyond just something they want. In my case, my motive is I want to feel good. I don't want to feel bad. And if I don't take care of myself, I'm very likely going to feel bad or relapse in worst case scenario. Which, by the way, not saying that setbacks they don't happen to me. Even if I take care of myself, they do. But I know how to deal with them when they happen. Versus if I just stop taking care of myself altogether, dealing with a relapse is much more difficult than dealing with a little setback in the way. So yeah, I hope that I explained that well for people. If you're curious as to how I'm doing now, I am very well, mentally speaking, and physically as well. I don't know if you can notice, but I feel and I look the healthiest that I think I have in many, many years. If anything, sometimes I feel like this is the best that I've ever felt my entire life, because when I was physically healthy, I was mentally unhealthy. And eventually, I got to a point where I was both mentally and physically very unhealthy. But here we are. So those were 5 facts about me. I want to thank all of you for watching. This was a very interesting video for me to make. I never really thought I would talk about some of these things, but guess there is the first time for everything. And in a way, I'm going against one of the facts about me, which is that I'm not good at taking risks. But to me, this is kind of like taking a risk because I'm opening up, I'm showing more vulnerability. I want to thank you all for subscribing again. I'm very excited to see where this channel goes now, especially with everything that has been going on and everything that has changed. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to share with me something that nobody knows about you. I promise I won't tell a single soul. Here's to the next subscriber milestone, which, to be honest, I don't really know which one it's going to be because I don't think I've had one since 6 or 7 years ago, to be honest. But let's go ahead and shoot for the stars, I guess. You know, nothing's impossible. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in my next video.